Good evening. Welcome to the July 14th, 2025 Abington Finance Committee meeting. We are meeting to finalize going over year-end transfers. Our agenda is quick. We'll get a quick update from the town manager's office. We'll go over the changes in the last 2 weeks to the year-end transfers, approve them provided they are in order. And then we will do our standing business liaison reports, correspondence, which we actually have mail. And then discuss our next meeting, which is not yet booked and will probably not be booked when we leave this meeting. So, kicking right in, let's get an update from the town manager's office. How we doing? What we got going on?
Yeah, not a lot to report since the last time we met. The governor's budget was filed, and again, there was no relief coming from there. So, we're sort of in that transition period, closing out last fiscal year, starting the new fiscal year. The fire department, DPW projects moving on. Had a couple of hiccups as we've gone as far as, things that we found underground that we didn't expect to be there. So there's been a few issues here and there, but so far it's going well. Everything is tracking.
What kind of things?
There was a lot of stumps. There was a lot of things that were buried very deep. And
Bodies.
We won't get into that. There were no human remains found.
Excellent.
But it was
articles of historical significance.
There was nothing of historical significance. Excellent. There were no dinosaur bones. There were no Indian artifacts. There were tires, lots and lots of tires and stumps. And these things were they didn't show up in our core samples. They were a lot lower than we thought in areas that actually had quite a bit of growth on it, large trees. So it was very unexpected. But it was, it's something they dealt with. We're removing a lot of soils.
Not things that will put serious dents into the timeline of the project.
No, actually, that's all found in phase 1. If you go by there now, phase 2 has already started. They've demoed some of the buildings. They'll continue on demoing the DPW buildings. We're not, anticipating any problems over in that area. But again, that phase 1 will finish up when we relocate the fuel tank, which we hope to have done within a month or so, and the salt shed will go up, and hopefully phase 2 will go with no issues. We'll get up and out of the ground as soon as possible. So yeah, that's about it. I think the selectmen, in a preemptive move on their past meeting, have asked me to review all of the town hall departments and look for any areas of things that, hires that were hired from COVID money, if we kept any of those positions or expanded any of those positions. And they want me to take a look at, in general at all positions and consider what can and can't be outsourced, and if there's in fact any opportunities for that, they want it to be presented to them in September. So we'll go forward with that in August. Okay. Other than that, moving forward.
Sounds good. Anyone have questions?
Is there a hiring freeze on now?
We haven't officially called for a hiring freeze, but the only reason that we would hire someone now is if somebody, if a police officer, firefighter, something to that effect, if they had to be replaced, we would replace them. Well, hopefully that's not going to be the case. We have no intention of creating any new positions, and if a position vacates, we will take a serious look at it before we would.
Okay, all right, good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I think someone else was about to ask something. It's either Abby or it was maybe Barbara or Emily.
Not me.
Not me.
Maybe not.
All good on my end.
All right. I think we're good then to move on to year-end transfers. Andrew?
All right, so last time we met, you approved $905K in general fund transfers. Since then, we've had the last FY25 warrants, and there's just been some movement. The total year-end transfers are now 909,600, so an increase of just less than $5,000. As far as sources go, we were pulling about 150K from fire salaries, but they did buy some PPE in the last week, so we had to find additional sources of revenue for that. So we're taking additional money from town manager salaries, town accountant expenses, assessor expenses, and unemployment to cover that shift. As far as changes to the expenses, the biggest change over last week were an extra $7,000 in recreation expenses for groundskeeping supplies and $1,500 in landfill monitoring. That falls under town manager expenses.
Sorry, how much did you say in recreation expenses?
The total is $18,000 on this new transfer sheet, and that is up $7,000 from last week.
So that's up 7,000, but we're not up 7,000 from last week.
We did, there were some savings in some other places. So
Okay.
for highway salaries, that went down by $5K. Inspection service salaries, that also went down by $2K. For police, that stayed the same. We shifted $5K from salaries to expenses.
Okay.
As far as item number 2 goes, last week we were transferring $5K from water expenses to water salaries for police details, and after the last week of activity, that should now be $8K.
Abby, did you have last week's handout?
Yes.
There, can I just check that for a second to...
I wrote on it, so I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
And the salaries that were lower, what changed in the last week?
So those are based on, so for highway, the way we do the projections, we take the most recent 3 weeks of payroll, and they had been going through some heavy overtime periods, but when we told them to cut back, they did so. So that was able to, like, the projections were higher than we expected, so we were able to cut that down now.
Just trying to line up where the extra 4,600 was. Because the stuff that went down that you mentioned covered the one specific one that went up, the recreation. I'm just trying to make sure I know exactly what we're... Recreation salaries is in there, which wasn't before. That's the bulk of it. Okay. Anyone have questions for Andrew? Chris, you weren't here last time. Do you have questions overall?
No,
or-
I get it, I guess. I'm not happy, but nobody is.
All right. Without any further questions, is there a motion to be had?
Motion to approve the transfer of $909,600.
It's a motion from Chris,
Second.
from the sources listed to
Yes.
the lines listed.
That's
I think
correct.
is the rest of that, and second from Barbara. Any further discussion on number one on the handout? Without any, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. For the water section, is there another motion? I know Greg wants to make the motion this time.
Yeah, I really do. Motion to approve the water expense of 8,000.
Second.
There's a motion from Greg and a second from Barbara. Any discussion on the transfers for the water department? Without any, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, abstaining, it is unanimous. The transfers are all approved. Thank you, everyone. All right, that takes us to standing business. Does anyone have any liaison reports? I'm gonna hold off on liaison assignments again until our next meeting.
Matt,
Yes, Barbara.
sorry, can we, just a question from the beginning of the meeting, sorry.
Yep.
The buried tires and what was the increased expense?
What's the question?
She was asking if you.
The delays with the fires, DPW, and that was their increased expense from that.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a change order, that'll be associated with that. I think it's, you know, we have a contingency built into the project, so my guess is, I think the last I heard, it was probably close to $1 million though. Yeah, there was quite a bit of soil, that was anticipated on being taken off-site anyways, but what happens once that soil is found to be contaminated, it's not contaminated to the point where it's, you know, it has, it's just not as usable anywhere that you want. Had we been fortunate enough for this to time, you know, accordingly with our landfill capping, we probably would have brought all the soils over there and just had to pay for the shipping. That's the kind of soils they are, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. That and the work, like I said, was a good amount of tires under there, a couple of empty fuel tanks.
And did they, and so when the soil was tested, when they were getting ready to like break ground and all of that, is that something that doesn't show up?
It didn't in this particular area because this was in that property that we took at town meeting, so in the area like where the salt shed was. So it was very deep, like significantly deeper than expected, and it was actually overgrown with, you know, fully mature 30, 40-year-old trees on it. So it just
Gotcha.
wasn't a place that you expected.
Wasn't a way to know that there was stuff deep
Right.
underneath there.
And because of the terrain, it actually, to the rear of that site, as you get towards the cemetery, it's very uphill at that point.
Yeah, it's quite a hill.
Yeah.
Where that house was on, yeah.
And it was all, like, again, that was the area that had a lot of trees on it, so unfortunately, a lot of soils had to come out of that, and then when you get to that level, and, you know, you still have to excavate beyond it for the road and to compact it properly, and then to do the foundations for the salt shed, and that's when they started finding it, and then once you start finding that, you really can't stop digging until you get it all cleaned up. So,
What do we
yeah.
think that will do? So we think, we had kind of built in some kind of oops money, for
Yep.
lack of a better term.
Oh, yeah, there's always contingency money in a project like this, and it was a little bit on that side. Some of it'll come out of the phase 2 contingency, and, you know, hopefully we'll be all right. Again, we still have a lot, you know, things get a little easier when you get out of the ground, but unfortunately, those things, when you're at that point, trying to get out of the ground, that's, you know, when we run into the problems.
So I'm gonna guess
So
this
looking
is,
at the overall project, there's the potential for what we, budgeted for to borrow and what we will end up borrowing. Do you think there's gonna be a huge difference?
No, I mean, we have a number that we expected, we're very close to it with our bids. I don't expect that we will be under it much, I don't think that that's likely to be the case. And certainly, what'll happen is, you know, that's what we have, and that's what we have to work with. You know, as we start running into, you know, hopefully we don't run into issues, but project this size, you're going to have issues. Hopefully, we can keep within that contingency, or we have to start engineering and value engineering and taking things out of the project that we rather would not at this point, but that's in effect what would happen.
Because we're not gonna go over that number that we voted at town meeting.
Well,
Or what-
we
in
can't
the,
without going back to town meeting, yeah.
Right.
And we would not want to go back to town meeting and ask for more money on it, that's for sure.
Right.
Especially with the town meetings that are ahead of us, so I think that, you know, the other side of that is, you know, again, nobody was expecting to have a landfill that was buried and hidden for all these years, you know, so to speak, dealing with the sins of our forefathers. But it had to be dealt with, and I'm glad we did, considering the resource that's across the street from there. It's good that we cleaned it out. But that
Right.
being said, it's gonna make things difficult, and it's just, you know, it's gonna be what was already a tight project, that much harder to,
tighter.
tighter, yeah. But we'll get it done.
And I'm guessing the answer to this is no. But is there any way to tie this to previous owners of the property and look for some sort of recouping of
Well,
cost?
I would say no, considering we took the person we took the property from and bought it from in the taking, they didn't own it at that time, so we'd have to go back even further than that, and I would say probably.
I'm willing to bet it would be hard to tie it to a specific one without knowing a specific date or time for the things that we found in the ground. But
My guess is they're no longer with us.
around, yeah. So,
So, no, it's unfortunate, but that's what happens.
Thanks, Scott. I just wanted to get a better handle on the numbers for that.
thanks, Barbara.
Thank you.
Any liaison reports or other questions related to our first two items? Okay, we do have actual correspondence. I'm holding it up for the camera. We have physical mail from the Mass Municipal Association asking for us to pay our dues. I'm gonna hand that over to Andrew.
We'll get it taken care of.
Andrew will pay our dues for us, for the Finance Committee.
Nice if you guys take advantage of it.
Yep. They do have yearly meetings.
Do we have to change our
and
vote?
Stuff.
That's just the next year.
Yeah, this is for current fiscal year. So, we do not have any meeting minutes to review this week. We haven't gotten the meeting minutes for last week's meeting yet. Next meeting will likely be probably towards the end of August. We probably won't meet until sometime late August, maybe early September, but more likely late August, given what we're expecting the timeline to look like this coming year. Quick look. Maybe looking at something like August 27th. Just so people can start to think about that. I will reach out as we get a little closer to that, so that we have an idea of what people's availability is then.
It's the first day of school.
Oh, there you go.
It's a big day.
Yeah,
That
So
early,
mo-
huh?
That's my
people
calendar.
with kids should be around. So,
and that's why it's busy. 2:30 in the afternoon, there's no getting in or getting out.
but we'll be okay at 7 o'clock. So, it'll have cleared out by then.
Hopefully.
So, Any other items to discuss, topics people want to bring up, questions people have? Motions?
Motion to adjourn.
It's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Sorry,
Oh,
real quick, do we need
Emily's
to
preempting our
discuss
motion to
the, like, secondary financial advisory committee, if I'm remembering correctly?
do we need to
Or is
discuss
that
who is,
a topic
when
of
is that?
discussion for next meeting?
I probably was gonna schedule that in September, so if you
Okay.
wanted to hold off, I think that's fine. We just probably waiting to get a few more names, but I don't, wasn't on the agenda, so I don't know that you'd wanna bring it up, but we
Yeah.
definitely should put it on the agenda for the
Yeah.
next meeting.
Yeah, I think we can put that on the agenda for the August meeting and figure out who our representatives are then. Everyone be thinking if you want to volunteer. Sound good, Emily?
Yep, then I second Barbara's motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion, a second, any discussion? Without any, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstaining? We are adjourned. Thank you all.